Welcome to this installment of Science Minutes by Jake. Today we will be talking about lexical ambiguity and its implications in the field of linguistics. So first of all, what are lexical ambiguities? Lexical ambiguities occur when a sentence contains two or more meanings in a single word. An example of this is, "The old man waited at the bank for the entire morning." In this case, the word bank is a lexical ambiguity because in this sentence it could refer to either a bank where money is stored or a river bank where the old man was fishing. Lexical ambiguities are a curious part of language, but what does this tell us exactly about speech processing? Why are lexical ambiguities useful for linguists? Well, lexical ambiguities can tell us how we use context to resolve ambiguous language. It can also help us figure out if language comprehension is a bottom-up or top-down process. Some research has been performed using lexical ambiguities to look into how language is comprehended, which we'll take a look at now. The first article we'll talk about is research performed by Serino et al. In 2003. Their goal was to resolve if and when context effects take place while processing words. In this study, sentences were presented to the subjects word by word. Sentences of various types were used. 6 sentence types were created using 3 word conditions: ambiguous, high frequency, and low frequency, and 2 context variables, biasing and neutral. Here we have some example sentences to make the sentence types a bit more clear. In the neutral sentences, there was no context that would prime the target word. In this condition, an example of an ambiguous sentence would be, "James peered over at the bank," where bank can refer to the place of money or a river bank. High-frequency sentences include commonly used words like book and drug, while low-frequency sentences used rarely used words like hawk and cove. In the biasing sentences, there was context that primed the target word. For example, in the ambiguous sentence they measured in terms of feet. Feet is ambiguous. Feet is also primed for a certain meaning by the presence of the word measured. During this study, brain activity was measured while the subjects read the sentences. The results of the study were that significant frequency effects were observed. This means that high-frequency words were more easily comprehended than low-frequency. The key finding to this study, however, was that ambiguous words are affected by context. In the neutral setting, the ambiguous words acted like high-frequency words, while in the biasing setting, they acted like low-frequency. These results supported a theory of language comprehension called the Reordered access model. This model states that access is always influenced by the frequency of words, as we saw in the study. However, in a biasing context, frequency and context both affect access speed, which is also observed in the study. This is the reason the model is called reordered access. It is reordered because initially frequency affects activation, but when context is available, it reorders the activation and the less frequent word can be accessed. A similar study by Wiley et al. Was performed in 2018. It also took a look at lexical ambiguity. However, this study also included the effects of domain knowledge on the resolution of ambiguous words. In this study, baseball experts read ambiguous words related to baseball in the context which was strongly biased towards a non-baseball meaning. The results of this study showed that when a lexically ambiguous sentence is strongly biased towards a non-baseball meaning, baseball experts have a much more difficult time resolving the ambiguity than non-experts. This means expertise in a subject seems to lessen the reordered access effects, while they remain strong in those without this specialized knowledge. So, in summary, previous research had showed that word frequency influences activation and comprehension. However, both of the studies we looked at today provide support for the theory that context can also affect the activation of words in comprehension, which is the reordered access model. We can conclude that lexical ambiguities provide a unique opportunity to observe how the brain comprehends language. Finally, the fact that the brain uses context and frequency to resolve these ambiguities provides evidence that language comprehension is a top-down process using prior knowledge, opposing previous theories supporting pure bottom-up processing. Research continues to be conducted on this theory, as well as others. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you liked this video on lexical ambiguity. Thanks for watching.